டாக்டர் ஜோஸ்பின் மேம் மேடம் வந்துட்டாங்களாங்க மேம்? பிரின்சிபல் மேம் வந்துட்டாங்க.
வந்துட்டேன். ஓகே.
கார்த்திகா மேம் வந்துட்டாங்களா மேம்?
வந்துட்டாங்க மேம். கார்த்திகா மேம் வந்துட்டாங்க.
கார்த்திகா மேம் குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன்.
Good afternoon.
மேம்
hello.
Good afternoon.
டாக்டர் கேத்ரின் மேம் குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன்.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I welcome you, ma'am. Karthika, ma'am. Dr. Karthika, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome you.
Yeah, this is the early morning here.
Yes. 6 o'clock, I think, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, in Corona time, this is really early morning.
Okay.
So you want me to share my screen? It is okay now.
Yes,
Just to check.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I hope you can able to see, right?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We can see your screen.
Okay.
Dr. Josephine, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
அது விசிபிளா இருக்கே மேம் யூடியூப்ல?
யூடியூப்ல
விசிபிளா தான் மேம் இருக்கு.
ஓகே மேம். என்னோட வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு தெரியலையா?
இல்ல மேம், மேம் போட்டிருக்க ஸ்கிரீன் தெரியுதுங்க மேம். இப்போ டாக்டர் கார்த்திகா மேம் தெரியுறாங்க.
ஓகே. ஓகே.
இப்போ இங்க என்ன இருக்கோ அதே தான், சேம் தான். நோ ப்ராப்ளம் மேம். ஓகே. ஓகே மேம். டாக்டர் கார்த்திகா மேம் இன்னொரு 5 minutesல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடலாம் மேம்.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you. Josephine ma'am.
என்னோட வீடியோ வரல. எனக்கு தெரியல. நான் ஸ்கிரீன்ல வந்து என்னோட வீடியோ தெரியல. ஏன் தெரியல எனக்கு.
நீங்க வெளியில போயிட்டு வரீங்களாங்க மேம்?
ஓகே.
வெளியில போயிட்டு வாங்க. உங்க வீடியோ வரல மேம். வெளியில போயிட்டு வாங்க மேம். திருப்பி ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வாங்க. பிரின்சிபல் மேம் வேறு யாராவது ஆட் பண்ணணுமா பேனலிஸ்ட்டில்? டாக்டர் கேத்தரின் மேம், சிஸ்டர் வந்திருக்காங்களா? பெட்ரிசியா சிஸ்டர்.
I don't think so.
ஓகே மேம், ஓகே.
Kartika ma'am.
Please,
Just a minute. Please stop sharing because I cannot able to enter.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Now please use.
ஜஸ்மின் மேம், இப்போ உங்கள் வீடியோ வருதா மேம்?
இல்லை, எனக்கு வரல. Okay, shall we start? Ma'am, can we?
Dr. Karthika ma'am?
Yeah.
Shall we start?
Yeah, sure. It's okay, I share my screen.
Okay,
yes, ma'am. Okay,
yes.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Communication is the real work of leadership. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all dear attendees for this day 3 session, Understanding Communication, a drive for effectual teaching, in the 5-day international level webinar on yoga and wellness for teaching professionals, organized by Center for Capacity Building Programs for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Bharatiyar University Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, Stella Matutina College of Education. Dear participants, your presence makes us very happy. My humble request to dear participants that you please ask your queries and clarifications in the question and answer box, which will be clarified by the resource person at the end of the session. And also the feedback form will be shared from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the chat box, both in YouTube and Zoom platform. We are getting maximum 250 failure messages out of 1,500 mail IDs. So while you are delivering, you are sending your, make sure to enter the correct mail ID while you are submitting your feedback form. Thank you very much for your active participation. I hope you all will find this session useful. Thank you for your constant support and cooperation. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. To begin today's session on Understanding Communication, a drive for effectual teaching, we have an eminent personality with us today, Dr. Karthika Singaravelu, PhD, psychology coach, Tamil School, Michigan, USA. Also former research associate, Oxford University, UK. So who has expertise in psychology and research. We are very delighted to welcome you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. A smile is a universal welcome. We are happy to have with us Dr. Joseph Catherine, Principal of Stella Matutina College of Education, one of our convener and organizing secretary of this webinar. It's my great pleasure to warmly invite the respected principal ma'am to deliver the welcome address. Welcome you, ma'am.
Honorable Vice Chancellors, Professor Panjanadam, Professor P. Kaliraj, respected registrars, Professor Balakrishnan, Professor K. Murugan, respected Controller of Examinations, Dr. Govindan, Professor Anbalagan, Principal of Bharatiyar University Arts and Science College, Organizing Secretaries, Dr. Shivasakti, Dr. Premalata, Dr. Savitri, Joint Organizing Secretaries, and Organizing Committee members. A very good evening to one and all. I'm immensely pleased to welcome you all for the third day of this international conference on yoga and wellness for teaching professionals. No teacher can disseminate knowledge without effective communication skills. Hence, it is very important for every teacher to understand its techniques and strategies. Today, we have with us Dr. Karthika Singaravelu, psychology coach, Tamil School, USA, and former research associate, Oxford University, UK, to enlighten us on the topic, Understanding Communication, a drive for effectual teaching. We are very happy to have you, ma'am, amongst us today. We thank you for accepting our invitation, and I wholeheartedly welcome you on behalf of all the organizers and the participants. My heart goes out to welcome each and every participant. Thank you all for joining with us. I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome.
Can I go ahead?
I would like to.
Please.
I would like to invite Dr. T. Sivashakti Rajamal, Assistant Professor, Department of Educational Psychology and Coordinator, Center for Capacity Building Programs for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Organizing Secretary of this program, to introduce and welcome our resource person. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good evening to you all. It's a great honor and an immense pleasure for me to welcome all of you for third day international webinar on yoga and wellness for teaching professionals, topic on understanding communication, a drive for effectual teaching, on behalf of Center for Capacity Building Programs for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, Bharatiyar Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, and Stella Matutina College of Education, Chennai. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. I have come to believe that a great teacher is a great artist, and that there are as few as there are only other great artists. The greats of the arts, since the medium is the human mind and spirit. You facilitate thinking, you engage minds, you listen to questions, you encourage risk, you support struggles, you cultivate dreams, you learn everybody, because you teach everybody every hour, every minute, and every second. I'm very delighted and excited to be here, and it's a great pleasure to introduce our today's eminent resource person, Dr. Karthika Singaravelu. Dr. Karthika Singaravelu is working as a psychology coach in Tamil School in USA. She completed her Master of Science in Life Sciences and doctoral degree in Neuroscience at the University of Kaiserslautern, Germany. First, she worked as a research fellow at the University of Oxford in the Department of Physiology, UK. And also she worked in the University of Illinois, Chicago. She has worked as a research assistant in the Institute of Bioagricultural Sciences, Academia Sinica, Taiwan, and worked as a lecturer in the Department of Microbiology, University of Madras, Chennai. Now she is working as psychology coach in USA. She has a lot of experience in teaching, and she is a woman of strong work ethic. Her extensive research on calcium signaling was highly notable. She is very attentive, very energetic, knowledgeable, skillful, and responsible person. She has written a chapter in Springer Publications. Her research articles have been published in top ranks international journals such as Journal of Neuroscience and Journal of Biological Chemistry and Cell Calcium. She is a great developer, good trainer, good coach, good motivator, and good thinker. Her hard work and her perseverance, the educational exposure from three different continents leads her to teaching psychology related topics. Her strengths are her attitude that she likes to take challenges that she can do it. Her way of thinking is always in positive manner. Currently, she is supporting non-profit organization that focus on secondary communication languages. She believes in herself. She believes in herself and her hard work, and she wants always perfection in everything. Still, she is a learner with a search of ever expanding knowledge thirst. Dr. Karthika Thangavelu ma'am, I feel very happy for your presence and on behalf of our organizing team and participants. I welcome you ma'am with all my pleasant greetings. Thank you one and all. Now I hand over this session to Dr. Karthika Singaravelu ma'am. Please ma'am.
Thank you so much for your introduction.
Thank you ma'am.
It's my pleasure to be here and to have an opportunity to participate in this wonderful international webinar. So I'm talking from Michigan. So this is our early morning on Friday. I'm just starting my day with this presentation. I hope this will be a wonderful session. And also I would like to thank all the committee members from Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, and Bharatiya University of Arts and College, Coimbatore, and Stella Matrina College of Education, Chennai. And especially my special thanks to Mrs. Josephine for inviting me personally for this talk. So when I was preparing my talk, when I was preparing all my slides, I just came into this quote, which is presented by the Canadian activist called Elaine MacDonald. You can see my topic. Today I'm going to talk about the basics of communication. This is the basic, because once you understand the basics, then you can apply this knowledge to your everyday life, especially for in everyday life and also for teaching. So today I'm going to give a talk about understanding the communication. It is not how you are handling the subject. It is just totally on you are understanding this skill. So it is a drive. That means it is a need to effectual teaching. So if you see this quote here, it says that if you improve a teacher's self-esteem, confidence, communication skills, or stress levels, you improve that teacher's overall effectiveness across the curriculum. So I noticed this because it's related to my topic, what I'm going to talk today. Here, it is self-esteem, confidence, and communication skills and stress level. All are interconnected to each other. If any teacher, if they have a high self-esteem and confidence, definitely their communication skills is going to be enhanced. And there is a very famous saying by Nelson Mandela. He says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So we all know that you can change the society because of education. So teachers are pillars of education. I think the well-being of the teachers should be taken care by the society because this will reflect in the quality of the education they are providing or offering to the students. So definitely this workshop will be helpful to all teachers, and this is a great idea. So again, hats off to all the resource person and all those committee members who arranged for this webinar. So before going into the topic, we just start with some fun. I just want all the participants this question: what is your vision for the future? Or simply, what is your dream for the future? So I ask all of you, if you are at any age, you can be in your 20s or 60s, or already you achieved so many things in your life, or you are a student, or you are a PhD scholar, just close your eyes for a few moments, and then just bring all those images in your mentally you bring all those images, what you want to wish for in your future. I just give a few seconds. You just bring out, it could be anything. It could be about your career or the family or communication or community service. It could be anything. Just close your eyes and bring all those images to your brain, what you want to achieve in the future. So this is called a vision board. I just made up one uh, for imaginary character. For instance, you think a student, a female student who is studying Bachelor of Education, maybe in your college, and he has the vision, so many visions for her future. So you can create one after this talk. Definitely, this is very helpful. This is the efficient tool for improving your career or improving your personal life or everything. This visualization definitely helps or activates some of the parts of your brain. So I recommend this doing after this talk. So if you see this female student, what is her desire? So first, she wants to achieve a higher degree like PhD. And then she wants to become the principal of the college, maybe your college. And she wants to have a family with 2 kids, so one a boy and a girl. And also she wants to participate or she wants to improve or practice the mindfulness by doing yoga. And then she would like to spend her holidays in any abroad countries. For instance, here it is Paris. She wants to go to France. And this picture, she want to build a house, really a very big house. And this one, she aspires to service in community. Here, they are planting trees. And this is the picture of the big, very huge shopping mall. She wants to build a huge shopping mall. So just don't think whether you can able to do this, whether this is possible in your life or not. Just whatever your dreams, so what you want to do, you can put all those pictures here. So after putting all those pictures, you can ask you 2 questions. One, why? Why I'm aspiring for all these dreams? Even you can put the micro details here. So one question you can ask, why I'm aspiring for all these my dreams. So the other question is how I can achieve this. So one, if you try to find the answer for why question, why I want this, why I'm aspiring, why I want to have a family, why I want to finish my PhD, definitely that leads to the purpose of your life. So you can understand yourself, you can talk to you and you can understand, then probably, your motive is the life. You could be money minded, or you could be service minded, or you want to really improve the quality of the education by becoming the principal of the college, or you want to go for any research activities. For instance, this girl wants to do in educational psychology. So like you can definitely know the purpose of life that always leads to the success. Then you ask how I can become a principal, how I can achieve my degree, how I start my family, when I start my family. So if you ask this question, definitely the door will be open for you. So you find so many things, so many ways to achieve your goals. So just look at these pictures. So every aspect of the life needs some requirements. For instance, if you want to do the PhD, it's really a tough job. So what are the skills that you need to do? So first you have to, if you are a B.Ed student, you have to go for the MEd, or directly you can do the PhD or MPhil. So it depends on if you want to do in India or in other country, it depends on the system. But definitely you have to work hard. So while you are working in the PhD, so you always work one-to-one with your guide. So definitely there's more possibility for the conflict. It is for sure. Definitely there are some situations we have some conflict with your guide. So at that time, what you need, definitely you need a very good communication skill to solve all those problems and to enhance your relationship with your guide or your teacher or professor, whatever you call. And you need a communication skill. So for instance, you finished your PhD, now you got a job, now you became a principal. So without, that it is really commitment job. So you need a lot of communication skill just because you have to deal with many persons. It's not an easy job. So for becoming a principal, you need the communication skill. And you can see this one family. So mostly people underestimate communication skill is not necessary for running the family life, but it is not true. Every time we underestimate that. So if you want to bring harmony in personal life, definitely you need the communication skill. So starting the family, you are entering into the new family. So people are different. There also you have a lot of commitment. Once you give birth to your kids, then definitely there are a lot of things are going on. So for your harmony of life, you need the communication skill. Look at this one. So this is a picture that one woman is doing yoga. So you may think how this yoga is related to your communication skill, but that's what called the intrapersonal. That means we will talk about this later in a few slides. So that's the self-talking. You talk to talk yourself. That's called intrapersonal communication. So that would be good. So if always you talk negatively, that definitely drain all of your energy. So the positive talking within your mind, this will enhance us, that empower your energy level, so you can achieve so many things in your life. So that also connected with the communication skills. So you see this, I told this girl spend her holiday in France, in Paris. This is the place most of them wants to go for holiday time. So you think how communication skill is needed here. So when I was doing my PhD, we all went to France for a conference. We missed the train. So we suffered a lot to find the next train, and because we don't know the language, nobody know the French. So we suffered a lot. So we used a lot of our nonverbal communications. We used our gestures and used our hands, and then we tried. Really, it took like 3 hours for us to find the right train. So if you are going to some other countries, to abroad countries, in that where if they don't speak the same language of you, then definitely it is advisable to learn some communication skills like nonverbal communication or their culture, because that way you are not in trouble in the country, because you can't expect everywhere they speak English. Especially in France, people hesitate to speak in English. When you are going to the public places, a restaurant, or to like a station, train station, definitely you'll be in trouble if you're not knowing about the nonverbal communication. So that part of the life also you need communication. So for the community service, you have to work in groups. You have to definitely get along with the people really very well if you want to do your service in society. So there, the communication play a major role. So how about this one? For building a house, do you need the communication skill? It's not directly related to the communication skill, but you have to be in a high-paying job. For that, you need definitely the communication skill and the business. This is kind of business. When you are building a huge mall, then this is a kind of business. It's a separate part called business communication. So definitely you need the communication skill. So just look at this picture. So these are the different aspects of life. They are something are not connected to each other, but in all aspects, in every dimensions of life, a communication skill is more important. As a teacher, or if you are a student or the future teacher, all educationalists, you have to learn the communication, and also you have to teach your kids, or you teach your children or college students how to communicate. That is necessary for your efficient teachers and also for learning for them. So now I just go to the topic. So here I just gave the definition of communication. Everybody thinks communication is very simple, because right from the birth we start communicating, right? We always start communicating by crying. So baby started communicating once the mother gave birth. So we always underestimate the communication. We thought we know the communication. So communication is not only talking, it's not just the spoken words. As I told before, it's the non-verbal communication, written communication. There are a lot of varieties. People name it different way. But what is the basis of communication? So this is the communication is the process of creating meaning. So a meaning. So if you want to lead a meaningful life, then you have to communicate. Just think the world without communication, it will be chaos. There is no purpose of living here. There is no joy. There is nothing happening if we lack communication. So it is the process of creating meaning through symbolic interaction. So what are symbols? What is symbolic interaction? Symbols are anything that give rise to or that helps in the process of communication. For instance, language is a symbol, and I am a symbol, you are a symbol, a person, or the relationship with your teacher, with your student, or with mother or husband and wife. This is all kind of relationships are a symbol, and any process is a symbol. Any event, like you are getting a degree or the marriage, anything is a symbol. That's called. So we just want to create some meaning through the symbolic interaction. So symbols not necessarily have to be logic. One of the nature of symbols is it is arbitrary. Arbitrary means that there is no logical reason behind it. For instance, we use the heart symbol. Why we are using the heart? That's a symbol of love, right? But all the feelings of your anything just related to love, your feelings, everything that's related to your brain and your hormones. So, but we don't use brain. If you use brain as a symbol of love, definitely people will laugh at you, right? But everything, all those emotions were created in your brain. So there is no logical reasoning behind the symbolic interaction that you need to understand, because people will take the same symbol differently. That may lead to conflict. That you have to really understand it. The another example is for we say in English we say book. In German, we say Buch. I'm not sure whether the pronunciation is right, but it's called a Buch. It's B-U-C-H. And in Spanish, I think it's called Libro. Maybe my pronunciation is wrong. If somebody of you knows Spanish, just forgive me. This is called, I think, Libro. So is there any meaning? Why we call book? Why we call book? Why we call Libro? There is no meaning, right? There's no logical meaning. It's not connected to the shape of the book or the geometrical dimension of the book, nothing else. So this is all just a symbolic interaction. We are giving meaning to them. We are the ones giving meaning to them. So you need to understand that. So I'm sure, I hope you are clear with the definition of communication. So communication, there are 5 types. There are other types also, but I just put 5 types of communication here. They work in different contexts. The first one is called intrapersonal. As I mentioned before, this is the foundation of a self-awareness. Intra means within. So within a personal person, so within a person. So we always have a talk within ourselves. I just pause a moment. You just listen to your voice, listen to your mind. Is your mind is talking with you? I just give a few minutes, sorry, a few seconds. Did you hear anything? Did you hear any voice? If you think, no, I don't hear anything, what is she's talking? If you know, I don't have any little voice inside my mind. If you think like that, that's what your internal voice, that's what your mind voice. So you keep on talking with you. So you know how to regulate that interpersonal communication. That's what we are doing, yoga and meditation, so many things that regulate your intrapersonal communication. Although this one has no connection with other people, but this forms the basis of your interaction. Definitely, this will affect your interaction to the next level, to the another level. So you always have to keep your intrapersonal communication really in a positive way. You have to learn the ways. As a teacher, you can teach your kids also just by making the positive environment in your classroom, by talking positively, just giving all those external, positive external stimuli. You can bring it to your kids also, to the students also. So the next one is, this is the common type of personal communication, which is called interpersonal communication. So inter means between. So it is between 2 people, but it's interpersonal, not necessarily. The terminology represents just the communication between 2 people. It could be 3 or 4, but the context is it is between the people. So if only 2 people are participating, then it is called dyad. Communication, dyad means two, die means two. So it is communication between two people. It is more common in the business and also inside the family. So if you're married, so probably when you are talking with your husband, this is interpersonal, that's a dyad communication, or your mom or your dad, anybody. Between two people, it is called a dyad. Or this could be mostly happening in your classroom, the interpersonal communication. Every time when you want to try to understand other person's feelings or their efficiency or anything, you want to understand, the best approach is you just do one-to-one talk. That is the interpersonal communication. So in this communication, you always get feedback from other person. That will enhance your communication skill every time. So you have to appreciate the feedback, even if it is negative or positive. You shouldn't take it wrong, because even when comparing to the positive feedback and negative feedback, always improve your efficiency. So you have to, maybe we will see what is self-concept perception in the other slides. Then you will understand that. And for the intrapersonal, you don't get feedback from others, but you can, if you are conscious about what you are thinking, you will get your feedback, because sometimes you can feel that your mind is just warning you or just appreciating you. These voices will be inside. This is what feedback you have to take into consideration, because this is very important to improve your selfness and also efficiency in everything. Then the next one is the group communication. So this is like a group of people. This is also important. This kind of communication is important in classroom setting. So this is like a few people work together. Here in the group communication, like in interpersonal communication, all the members of the group, but it's not two or three, maybe it's probably sometimes 8 or 10. So every member of the group has the chance to communicate with each other. This is face to face. Of course, now it is online, but every member, nobody is left out. Everybody has a chance to talk with each other and share the ideas. Usually the group communication works very well in schools, in colleges. This enhances your creativity. And this will bring the outcome of, for example, if you are assigning a project to two persons or one person and in a group, definitely you can see that so many ideas you can bring together and put in a group, and the outcome of the group will be the best one when compared to two persons or one person. So you have to understand about the group communication, but one of the thing is, when the people are in group, they dare to take the challenges, risk. They will take the risk. That is, they can take a risk in a positive way or in a negative way. But as a teacher, you should understand the outcomes in a group. Because they sometimes that will be against to the teacher too, if you are in a group communication. And the next one is the public communication. So public is if the group becomes really larger, then it is called, it is also a group, but it's larger group. So that's called the public communication. For instance, now I am talking to you, it's a kind of public communication, because in public communication, usually one or two person communicate, they talk, they deliver a message, the remaining participants listen to that. They have the less chance for the verbal feedback, but you can't. What I am trying to say is you can't verbally give the feedback to me, but in a group you can. If I'm in a group, if I'm a teacher, if I'm in a group, you can verbally do all your feedback. But in the public, it is kind of limited thing. That is one of the disadvantages. But in other way, it is advantages too for the speaker sometimes. So the public is also sometimes, it is technically not in teaching, but in you can do in teaching also, but technically it is not meant for teacher and student relationship. So the next one is the mass communication. It's aimed to large widespread audience. For instance, for examples of mass communication is newspaper, TV, or any websites or online sites and social media. They all come under mass communication. So here, the sender, the person who is transmitting the message, have no personal contact with the audience. So usually the mass communication is affected or controlled by the government and by the media and so on. So they control all the messages. So you always critically think when something is posted or something is coming in the newspaper, we have to use our critical thinking. That's also one of the communication skill, which message either it is biased or influenced by the government or by the media or any political party. So you always critically think if some information is coming in the public forum, in the mass media. So as we said before, the intrapersonal, interpersonal, and group communication, to some extent, public communication is important for teacher-student relationship. So then you have to understand what are the parts of communication system. Always the aim of the communication is you just create some meaning and then send to someone who can interpret those messages. So here the communication starts from the sender. So he's a sender, then he's sending some messages towards the receiver. So he is receiving all messages. So via the channel. Channel is anything, any medium through which the messages are transmitted. It could be the face-to-face, or it could be the email or your phone, anything through which any website or anything, the channel which is transmitting the message from the sender to the receiver. So what sender has to do? This is a basic. This slide is only for explaining the parts of the communication. So, what is the job of a sender? He has to encode the messages. What does encoding means here? So we already we saw that we are just sending some information just to get some meaning. This is a kind of symbolic interaction. So here what we are doing is we just put all these symbols together and we encode it. We just make it like good looking, or for instance, if you are a baker, you are baking a cake. So for two occasions, one is the birthday party, for you are baking a cake for the birthday party of a kid. So how you decorate your cake with icings, with colorful icing. So you do so many silly things on the cake. That's what the kids like. So if you are baking a cake for the wedding, so mostly it is white based. So you want to put the heart symbol. So you want to decorate really with the beads and everything, just to give the romantic look. And if you want to bake a cake for the Valentine's Day, then you put it is red, and you put so many heart inside. So this is what encoding. You just take all symbols together and just decorate it. So according to your purpose and according to your receiver, you know the receiver to whom you are sending the message. So you have to encode the information in really a good way. Then only your purpose of sending, your intention will be fulfilled. So now you are sending the message through some channel, either face-to-face or via email or by the phone. So you are sending, every time you have to be clear that which kind of channels you want to use. If you have a conflict with a person, always it is good to talk in face to face every time. Otherwise, if you're talking in the phone or if you're sending the email or text message, definitely this will lead to some misunderstanding. So think about your situation and the receiver situation. Then you have to choose the right channel for that. Now the receiver has received the message. What is his job? He has to decode, like eating the cake. He has to decode all those things, what the informations, and he try to understand what message you are sending him. I just want to say that not everybody receiving the same message, what you are intended, why you are intended for sending the message. It's not everyone receiving the same kind of message. Like when you are baking a cake, there are 20 kids in a party. One kid like it, or the other one do not like it. This is also the important point. Then the receiver gives the feedback. So all his responses to the sender. So then the sender knows that next time when he bakes a cake, okay, this is not appropriate for this cake. So maybe I have to do something more. So this way we can improve our communication skills. So every time, don't hesitate to take the feedback if it is negative. So this is always helpful for you. Even if your students are saying some negative feedback to you, you don't stop them. You just ask them. Just this will definitely improve as a whole. Then another important component, people usually forget this. This is called noise. The noise is some signal, or you can call it as a force also, some force that interfere with the communication. So there are three kind of noises. One is the external noise. For example, if I'm talking here, I have two kids. If my kids are coming and talking to me, this is the external noise. If you are now, hope everybody is in a house. So if your mom is cooking and if the pressure cooker is on there, so you hear some noise, that's the external noise. If somebody is talking to you, some TV is on, there's all the external noise. And the other one is a physiological noise. If you are now, maybe you didn't have a tea now, or you didn't eat properly the lunch, so you feel very tired, you didn't sleep yesterday night, you feel very sleepy, or you are ill. Those are called physiological noises, and the other one is psychological noise. Psychological noise is something going in your mind. Yesterday or this morning, you have some fight with your dad, or you have a conflict with your teacher or with your friend. So when I'm talking, you are not hearing me, you are not listening me. What you think is you just always keep on thinking something else. You are not concentrating on this talk. You think about something. This is called a noise. If you have some exam, this is normally the students do. If they have a exam, they don't listen to the lecture. They think about something. They don't read that time. They just constantly think about something. So there's nothing. This is not feasible, and it's also this has advantages to students. They have to concentrate on one thing. If you cannot concentrate on this, it's better avoid this. You have to understand the noises. You have to minimize the noise. Definitely, if you want to become a successful communicator, you have to reduce the noise, minimize the noise. If you can block the noise. Then you can able to, at least you could become attentive to the any kind of classes or lectures. So these are the important parts of the communication system. And one more thing is there is an environment. So this is our sender. So there is an environment around them, and there's another environment around this person who is the receiver. So environment is one is the physical environment. That is where you are located, your room, your house, or somewhere I don't know where you are sitting now. So that's the physical environment. And also we have some psychological environment. This is what I'm giving a talk in communication. Yeah, so you know much better than me. You have already the prior knowledge, and you have so many experiences in your life regarding communication. So those thoughts come in your mind. So when I'm talking, you may think that, oh, I already know this, what she's going to talk. You may think that even the first graders, it's so easy. We know that one person is talking, the other one is listening to that. So that's nothing new in this. So those kind of talks based on your personal experience and your knowledge on this topic, probably that is also that is called the environment. So you have to be careful with your environment. We have some controlling force in us just to minimize some of the distractions from your environment also. It's always better two people are in the same environment so they can understand each other very well. So now I'm going to talk about the process of communication. So the very old model or view is called the linear view. You know what is linear, right? Anything that goes straight is called a linear. So here the message flows in one-way direction. So then that's why it is called a linear model. So in this model also there is a person, a receiver, and a sender. So don't get freaked out with this diagram. So it's the same. So here, this circle, green circle, this is the sender, exactly this person, what we saw before. And this person is the receiver. So he is encoding the message. So here the encoding message, he is sending via a channel. And this message is passing on to the receiver. So he is receiving that. So everywhere, the noise is possible everywhere. At any stage of the communication, the noise is possible. So there are a lot of noises here. Here you just look at this arrows. It just flows in one direction. just going in one direction. It's not coming back. So this is called a linear model. This is a very old model, but this doesn't suit for all type of communication. Even in classroom, you may think, maybe I'll come to that later, that even in classroom, you may think when your lecturer or professor is talking, you are just sitting and then you are listening to those, or hearing, or just listening to the lecture. So you may consider this as a linear view, but it is not. We will go to the next model, then you can understand better. So this is not a popular model, because since the message is going from sender to receiver in one way, this is not a popular one. Then they come to the complicated one, but this is the popular model, which is called transactional model or view. You know the meaning of transaction. I think everybody knows in business we use a transaction, that's the exchange. So here exactly that's what happening in the transactional model. So this is the two-way exchange. This is exactly what is happening in your classroom. Teacher and student always, there is a two-way exchange of interaction or communication. So this is the same kind of picture before, but you can see some difference. So instead of calling a person as a receiver and sender, we call in this model as communicator. This is a broader term. So because this communicator is you see here, he responds as well as decodes. Here, this communicator responds as well as decodes. It's different from the other one. I just, for easiness, I put these pictures here for encoding and decoding. And here you can see the arrows, it's going on two ways. So both of them, it is a simultaneous ongoing process. Both are responding and communicating, or both are communicating at the same time. So it's a simultaneously happening process. If you are keen on this slide, you can notice that we don't call it as encoding. Instead, we call it as responding. So here the sender, like our previous term, he is responding. And here also we call it as decode and responding, not we calling it encoding. The reason because encoding, I already told that we just put all these symbols together to give the meaning to the receiver. But in that model, it's just going in one way direction. But here he is just receiving and also sending the messages. In the linear model, that specifies only the verbal communication, because encoding, it needs a lot of effort in your brain. It's a conscious process. You have to know how to decorate your cake. So it's always the conscious process. But if you go for the nonverbal communication is the communication in which we are not using any verbal, it's not a spoken word. So we are just using our gestures, our body movements, eye contact, and so many things. So we will talk this in later. So in this model, they explain both communication, the communication, both verbal and non-verbal here. Because for the non-verbal, when you are expressing you non-verbally, you don't need the conscious mind. You don't need it is really unconscious. So you don't need to put more effort on you. That's why here they call it as responding instead of encoding, because encoding you do consciously, but responding or receiving the message of non-verbal communication, you don't need to put any effort. It is unconscious. For instance, if some snake is coming nearby you, if you're outside the house, so you are in a fear, you just express in your face, right? You are really getting scared. So anybody, your mom or dad or somebody in the house looking at you from inside, they know definitely you have seen something strange outside. You didn't communicate, even you didn't look at them. You didn't communicate with them, but they received the message. You saw you are in a danger. You saw something, so they just strange. So they just come and run away to save you. So for this one, you didn't put any effort. You are not conscious about your facial expressions. This is unconscious. You are responding to the danger, and the people your mom or dad, they are the receiver. They're also receiving the message from you and then responding immediately and send some signal. So that's why we call here as not encoding. So you need to understand this one. So this will be helpful for the later slides. So here also you can see a lot of noises. So this is the environment of this person. This is the environment of another person. So sometimes there is an interaction. And if both of you are in the same environment, not only the physical, the mind status. If you are talking to your classmate, most often you are in the same, almost not the whole environment. There will be some match. There is some similarity. If I talk with my colleague, there will be some similarity. Like if your teachers and colleagues are communicating with each other, there is some similarity. So that's what this intersection point. That's easy for whenever we are in the same platform. It's easy for the communication. So you have to understand that a teacher and student always follow this transactional view. You may ask me, you were sitting still in your classroom, your teachers keep on talking and then giving some lecture. How it can be a transactional view? It seems to be linear view, right? Because your teacher is talking, you are not interacting verbally to your teacher. But if your teacher is taking class for an hour, probably in quantum mechanics, anything which is really a boring subject, it's really a tough subject. So you just started looking at your friend, you were turning this one, then you started looking at your accessories of your teacher, which is attractive. So the lecture is boring. So you just started looking at the attractive things in your teacher or your friend, or you started scribbling on your paper, which is not related to the lecture, and you were yawning, you started sleeping. So this is what your interaction to the teacher. Just you are denoting, you are expressing your interaction, your feedback to your teacher. So now your teacher should take care of you, like she has to maybe just include some humor in the class, or maybe she can talk to you in the class, or she can stop the class and then maybe make the class more interactive. So this is, even though it is not verbal, but you are constantly sending some messages. So as a teacher, you have to definitely identify the cues, non-verbal cues from the student if they are not giving the verbal feedback. So then you know about your teaching, then you know how to improve your teaching. So this model is important for teacher and student relationship. Then we talk about communication competence, that is the efficiency, how you need to understand these points to make your communication really competent, efficient one. The first thing you have to understand, there is no one ideal way for the communication. This means you are just using some kind of a style, communication style to one of your friends. So you cannot use the same. It works very well. So you have a very good relationship. So then you cannot use the same kind of communication style to the other friends or to the other persons. It may become failure. So in that situation, you don't get upset. If it is in the friends level, that's okay. But if in the professional level, definitely that makes you upset. But you have to, if you are understanding there is no one ideal way for communication, then you will change your style depending on your situation, which is the next point, and depending on your receiver to whom you are talking. Like you cannot talk to your wife and to your neighbor in the same way, then you'll be in trouble, right? If you're getting married, you understand this. Like you cannot talk to your teacher and your mother in the same way. So you have to understand that. Even if you have few many teachers, like two or three, if you are communicating with two or three teachers, every teacher is different. So you have to talk to them according to their nature. There are so many things. So the first thing you have to understand, there is no ideal way. So always don't stick on to one style. So you have to experiment this. You have to practice this. Then it is situational. So definitely. So you are joking a friend every day. So she take it easy. But there is some situation for everyone. Maybe she may be ill, or probably she recovered from some personal trauma. On the day, you cannot do the same joking on your friend. So it is situational. That also you have to understand, because you can see some people, they just talk, they don't definitely give attention or pay attention to the environment. They just talk in the same way to everybody, every situation. If you are talking to the professional, you know how to use your language, really you have to give respect. If you are talking to a friend, for instance, if you are using slang language, So you cannot do if you're talking with your friends, but you cannot do your parent, especially in country like India, because the respect is expected for some relations. So the communication is situational and then it is relational. That means communication always describes the relationship. So if you observe two persons, they are talking to each other, you can tell their relationship, right? If you are really a good communicator, you can understand the relationship between the two people, whether they are a student, teacher, or whether they're husband and wife, or they are the high officials. So you can really find out the relationship based on their communication, how they are interacting with others. So that's what called relational. That is also you should understand, because to all relationships, you cannot choose the same communication pattern. Especially for teacher and student, definitely you have to remember that your conversation or your communication, either verbal and non-verbal, always make a respect and control, some form of control over there. That's what I expected in this relationship. And then communication is the learned skill. So, as I already told, since we are communicating start from the birth, we underestimate communication. We don't think, we always think we don't need training for that. We can talk, but it is a learned skill. What does a skill means? So now I am telling you a lot of information about communication. So you hear that maybe you already know these informations. So you are buying a book that is really very good in explaining the communication aspects. So you are really reading that. If communication is one of the chapters for you, you're writing the exam. So you know all the theory, all the basics, everything about the communication. So are you a good communicator then? Are you a successful person, you think? What do you think? I don't think you are not. Even if you do PhD in your communication, some topics related to communication, unless otherwise you are not practicing your own life, that's what the skill. You have to practice, like how you are practicing swimming or football, any sport activities. You have to practice the skill. That's what called the learned skill. You have to learn and you have to practice the skill every day. It is very easy. Today I'm giving the, or you are reading or just listening to my talk, then you know some of the aspects. So you want to apply this today at your home. So while I mean, in the meantime, for example, after a week or after a month, you just totally forget that. You just start your own kind of communication or your own style. So the thing is, every time you have to retrieve the information and you have to apply the skill. So once you become expert on that, then you don't need to practice that much. It automatically comes as one of your behaviors. So this is a learned skill. So you have to just keep in mind that you have to apply this skill in real life, then only you can become a successful communicator. This is the take home message. One model of communication doesn't work for students in all situations. Even with one student, you have to definitely change the pattern in different contexts or different situations. So now I'm going to open the poll. This is for, because since I couldn't talk in face-to-face interaction, so I thought this will be more interactive. So I'll open this poll. There are two questions there, so please answer that. This will help me to understand in which platform you are in. So it is in progress, so you can answer this question. So the first question is more communication always better to solve problems? Do meanings rest in people rather than words? Uh, I think 60 people are out here. Maybe I try to open some more time. Because there are a lot of attendees. Yeah, I give a minute to answer these questions. I'm going to end the poll. So I will share the result with you. This is what the result. For the first question, is more communication always better to solve problems? I think 84% of people answered yes. But the right answer is no. And do meanings rest in people rather than words? So the answer for this question is yes. We see why. We see in the next slide. So we saw two questions, right? The first one is, so these are some of the misconceptions about communication, that is misunderstanding. So I think this is the first question we saw. Communication, more communication is always better. It is not, it is truly not. Because communication, you can't say communication is good in all situations, and more communication is always better, especially when the time of conflict, when you have some problem with the other person. If you keep on communicating with them, it irritate the person, so this aggravate the problem. So that time you have to keep really, you have to step away from the person and give some time to them to think about what is the problem. And also for you, you have to think. More communication or excessive communication is not always better, but people think in some situations, if I would have communicated more, there won't be no problem, but it's not the case. So not too much, not too less is good. So every time appropriate communication, depending on the situation, at the right amount is necessary. And the other poll question is, meanings rest in people, not in words. So this one, I think many people answered right. So the meaning is, I just give an easy example for this. So there's some problematic word. If your mother says the same word and your mother-in-law says the same word, so what is your response? So that's exactly what. We don't take the meaning of the words directly. We always take who are telling that, in what situation. So meanings always rest in people, never in not in words. I mean, sometimes in words, but mostly we just look at the people, and already we have some perception about those people, then we take it that meaning only, not the word in meanings. This one already we discussed. Communication is simple. So this is a misconception. So communication is not at all simple. It seems to be simple, but it is not at all simple. You have to really work on that. And the communication requires complete understanding. It is also not right. Communication doesn't require complete understanding. So I'm just talking about all kind of communications, not only you are just giving a lecture to your student. It's if you are saying hi to someone, so you're asking, how are you doing? They said, oh, good. So do you need complete understanding in this conversation? Just you want to greet each other. So it doesn't always require complete understanding. Even if you are trying to if you are giving some lecture on the tough topic, students, it's not possible that student understand everything what you are telling. So it's their responsibility after the class. They have to clarify with you. They have to look for the other sources to understand. We have to use the other, not only communication, we use other sources to understand that. So communication doesn't require complete understanding. And communication is always a good thing. It is not. Sometimes we have to keep silent. We have to shut up our mouth. It's not always a good thing. We will talk about that later, depending on the situations. So this all depends on the situation. So we can say communication is neither good nor bad. Then communication will solve all problems. It's not. Communication definitely help in solving problems, but sometimes there are some problems which cannot be solved by communication alone. We need some other support. So it is not all. So you don't over expect. If you are a good communicator, but you cannot solve the problem, don't worry. This is the normal. This is the true thing. Communication will not solve all problems. And then a single event or person causes another's reaction. And this is also you have to take into your mind. So if somebody is mean or somebody get angry, for if you're a student, your teachers get angry on you. So do you think for instance, you are not submitting your assignment on time in a due date? So he or she gets really mad at you. Do you think only the reason that day you didn't submit your assignment? Definitely not. Never a single event or person causes another reaction. It's all the cumulative. As I already told, it is a simultaneous ongoing process. So every time we make some assumption about others, we just accumulate everything. The one day that will burst and then that causes reaction either positively or negatively. So this is also you should understand for the good communication. Then I'm posting a question here. When you have a misunderstanding in communication with another person, so this is possible, right? This is happening in everyday life. Who is responsible for that? Who do you say? Either you or the other person. Just think about this. If you say, or if you think immediately, I'm not responsible for that, and the other person is responsible for that, then you have to watch your thought. You are not a good communicator. You have to improve your skill. If you blame on another person for any misunderstanding, usually the misunderstanding every time happens because of two persons, not only one. So you have to understand this perspective of life. This will solve so many misunderstandings. Then I just move on to the topic called perception. This is the why I am just going to perception from the communication, because perception is how you are perceiving things from the world around us using our sensory organs. So perception is related to your communication skill. We will see how it is related to your communication skills. But before that, just look at the cartoons here. So you can see two persons are standing here. So one is telling this number as 6 because he's on the other side, and the other one person is telling 9. So who is right here and who is wrong? Just tell me. Either this person is right or he is right. So according to their views, they're not happy. It seems to be happy. They are just focusing on their viewpoint. He says, or just shouting at this is 6, and he's saying this is 9. So no one is right, no one is wrong, because he's standing this side, the other one is standing other side. He looks so this is what exactly called perception. So if you look at this one, if you look at this picture, you can see that one beautiful woman is crossing by this pair. A couple is standing here or walking. So when a woman look at the other woman, she just looks at her accessories, dress, and the purse, everything. But when a man look at another woman, he just looks at the physique of the woman. That's the guy's nature. So this is what the perception. Exactly, they are looking at the same woman, but one is looking at their outfits, the other one is looking at the physical body. So this picture, you just see that here, there's a glass of water. So one is saying that this is half full, the another one is saying that this is half empty. Who is right? No one is right or no one is wrong. This is what they say. This was how they process according to a previous experience. And here there are two persons in water. Here this is deep, this is a shallow. water because he's very tall. Probably this one maybe a small boy. So he's saying it is deep. It is really deep for him, but he's saying no, it is not because he's standing in the shallow water and he's very tall. He's an adult, so it is not deep for him. So when you see this picture, you can understand how we perceive the things from our environment based on so many factors, based on your personality, your culture, and your past experiences. There are so many things that are going on this, but I don't want to go detail into that. You just understand what is perception. So it is a universal process. Everybody is doing that. Everybody is perceiving some stimuli from the environment and just processing in their brain. It is a complicated process, but it is individualized. Each and everyone, even your sister and brother, your mom and dad, any close relatives, anybody, even the twins, they perceive the environment, they perceive everything differently. It is an individualized process. So some of the truth about the perception. So how we perceive, how we make the judgment about others. So every time we make a judgment based on our perception only. So first we make snap judgments. Snap is like a snapshot, very quick. So we see a person and then we make immediately some judgment. This is the kind of this is also includes a stereotype. A stereotype is this is the exaggerated belief about someone. For instance, we think all women are weak. This is a negative stereotype, but women are very warm. That's a positive stereotype. If you take in the United States here, usually they consider Black Americans they are not intelligent. That's a negative stereotype. And positive stereotype about them is they consider when they see the Black American, they always say they are the athlete. But it may or may not be true. That is called a stereotype. You just have some faith or belief in you, which is very concrete. You cannot break it. So you judge people based on that. And it is very quick. It takes only a few seconds to make the snap judgments. So it may or may not be true. And then we hold on to the first impressions. So this is also, we cannot do anything. We cannot avoid this. The thing is, you have to understand the truth about perception. So even if I say you, every time, even me, I do first impression. Just I hold on to it. I see a person, a stranger. So within 7 seconds, I make a judgment. Oh, he's clever. He looks very friendly, and she may be very rich. She looks so educated. So it's hard to break those first impressions. But you are aware of that. You can break it. If you are through the critical thinking, we always make a first impression. But later, if it is not true, it's not necessary we have to hold on that first impression. We can break it, but for that also you need practice. Definitely you need a lot of practice for that. And then we give more weight to negative behavior. That's very true in human beings. We always give importance or more weight to negative behavior. I just ask you, how many times you blame in your house anybody, your sister, brother, or your students, or the friends? So how many times you appreciate them? So maybe you count how many times you blame them and how many times you appreciate them. If you are the one who appreciate more, then definitely you are not giving a weight to negative behavior. So you are looking for the positive behavior. But if you are the one who blames so often, so definitely we give more weight to the negative behavior, but that's very usual. And then we have a self-serving bias. This is one of the important things we need to realize it. This is how we judge others based on their misbehavior. So we always make some judgment and perception based on their others' misbehavior. But when it comes to us, we always judge ourselves based on our best intentions. So this means we always taken things like our intention is if something happened bad, we always say that no, I thought this, I thought I expected for the good thing, maybe the situations are wrong, it's not me. We always have excuses for our misbehavior. We never try to admit that, oh, I made this wrong. There are people, but most commonly, we always think we are right, others are wrong. So we have these kind of conversation, especially at home, a lot of time. People who are blaming others immediately without thinking anything. So they are severely affected by self-serving bias. So we have to take into account this term. If you want to become really a successful communicator, if you want to become the best teacher, you have to work on your self-serving bias. That gives really the good perception. You have to have the very good or very true perception about others. So these are the things, these are the truth about perception you have to take it into consideration. You have to apply it to your life. So always clarify perception to avoid any misunderstanding. So if you have some perception, if you have some judgment on others, you can clarify by using your own knowledge, or you can talk to the other person for the clarification. This will help. Definitely, this will help to misunderstand and this avoid a lot of problems. So I just explained the perception because I just want to focus on the self-concept. So self-concept is a relatively stable set of perceptions you hold about yourself. So this is not about others. This is about your own. So you have some set of mind, who you are. You think who you are. It's not others thinking about you. This is you thinking about yourself. So they are very stable. This is also very concrete. So how you get these perceptions, how you are building it. So mostly, there are a lot of reasons. One is your biology. It may come from your genes. If your parents and grandparents are very shy, probably you will also have those shyness. So, you have those perception about you. You hesitate to contact with other persons. So gene and some of the biological factors. There are so many things, but I want to focus on this one. So it's mainly from the feedback of your peers and significant others. So here teachers play a major role. A lot, even compared to the parents, teachers play major role because your feedback definitely affect the children. If you're teaching for a small kids, definitely this totally affect their self-concept. Uh, Teachers form the basis, almost basis of the self-concept for the kids. Because the kids are always in contact with the teachers. Everybody, we always stay with our parents. Once we started going to school, we have contact almost 20 years or 25 years, even more. If you are doing the PhD, always you have some contact with the teachers. They are really significant for your life. So you have to understand your responsibility as a teacher. You shouldn't break the self-concept of any children in your life. You have to be very careful when you are making the feedback. I'm not saying that you always give the positive feedback, never the negative feedback, but you have to use your words that we see later. So you have to always careful with your words, what you are using. So your communication should be good. So this is about self-concept. It's all about you. It's like your physical appearance, your religion, your mental wealth. So this is who you are. So you have to work on your self-concept too, to improve your self-esteem. Self-esteem is a part of the self-concept, how you evaluate yourself. For example, if you are rating the product, you give the 5-star, 4-star, right? This is the evaluation. Like you give a 5-star or 4-star, 3-star, sometimes 1-star. It's all based on your self-concept. And look at this one. This is called the looking glass self. Sorry. Looking glass self. This was created by a sociologist called Charles Foley. You look at this picture. So imagine you're always carrying a mirror with you in front of you. Magical mirror. Nobody can see, only you can see that. So every time you see that, how I'm looking, how I am. So here you see a man just looking at his mirror. This is a magic mirror. So he has to talk in a conference or somewhere to another man and a woman. So before talking, he is looking at his mirror. So he looks very smart, handsome, and even his hairstyle is good. He looks very confident, very friendly. He's smiling. So, but here, when he is talking to the woman, look at the same mirror. It's the same mirror, but his hair is messy, and he's feeling shy. He doesn't look friendly. He's not open-minded. Even look at his eyes, that looks completely different, right? So this is not how this one, the stranger or his friend or someone is looking at him, not this woman, how they are looking at him. This is how he is looking at his own. This is his own mirror. They don't have this person and this person, they don't have any idea about him, but he thinks, they view as like this. This man is viewing him as a confident man, whereas this female is looking at him like he's messy, he's not confident, like that. So what is the outcome of this one? Just look at this picture. He thinks he's very confident, he looks good, everything. So his evaluation about him is really favorable for him. So this time the self-concept is enhanced. Whereas here, when he's interacting with just a female, he think this is unfavorable. His evaluation is unfavorable. So our self-concept is reduced. So how they react to the situation? Definitely, he make a very good conversation, very clear, fluent conversation with his man, but with this female, probably he blush and then his talk is stammering. He's not constantly fluently talking. He might have done many passes during his task. He couldn't convey his messages of what he's intended to. So whenever you are looking at this mirror we always carry with us. So if you think you look good, definitely you look good. So always look at this your mental mirror and say how smart and confident I am. Definitely this will enhance your self-concept. If you have the high level of self-esteem, definitely you are a confident communicator. Your communication will be very effective. People will get attracted to you. So automatically everything will happen good. So this is what called a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is also the psychological term. Prophecy, the meaning is prediction. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is the prediction about you, how you fulfill you. This is the prediction, how you think about you. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. So here, this is a simple one, but you have to keep in mind, like I said, you know the theory of this one, but you have to apply this. That is more important. So we form first expectations about you or about others. No matter, it's all same. So we form a good expectation or bad expectation. So we make a communication or we communicate our expectations. That means if you are going for a job interview and think, I'm not going to make this good, I'm very nervous, I'm not getting this job. So you communicate according to your expectations. So you'll be very nervous, then you cannot talk, your tongue will be very dry, you really cannot answer well because you already formed your expectation, you are not going to do the interview well. So what happens? What you expected has happened, right? It's exactly happened. So our expectations are matched with our thinking. Our outcome is same. So our expectations come true. This is what, so you can think about that. I'm a good predictor. I can predict my future. I know what is happening in prayer. So you can see this comment from so many people. They always tell that I know what will be. I know how you are going to react. I know you are doing this. So we label persons and also we label ourselves. But the truth is, we form the expectations and we communicate according to that. We act according how we thought, how we are going to behave. So that's the outcome. So this is also important for the teacher-student relationship. If you're always labeling, you have to avoid labeling. Even if you have a kid, just avoid labeling. If you're a student, labeling is just like how you are naming them. You can name them like you are lazy. You can talk to your kid, you are lazy. Definitely they will become lazy. There is no doubt at all. So never always avoid labeling. So if you are giving some project to your student and while you are handling the project, you are telling that I don't think you are going to do this wrong. So definitely the student will do wrong because he or she takes into heart, they act according to that way. So here my advice is bring the best out of your students with high expectations. So this is the self-assessment. Maybe I cannot see your response, but just answer yourself. People enjoy talking to me for this one. So people always enjoy talking to me, or most often. So if you answer most yes or most of the times, then you are really a high, your self-esteem is high. You have a high level of self-esteem. So you are person. The next one, if someone criticizes my work, I feel very horrible. I don't like that person. You can see these kind of persons also. When we criticize negatively, they don't see the point, whether it's true or bad, or they don't give our explanation. They become red and they feel very horrible. They break the communication with that person. And that's all. The relationship is over. That's like the end. After that, they don't like that person. If you are one of them, then definitely you have a low self-esteem. So because you don't have hope on you, you don't have how can I say that, you don't have any belief on your capability, you are not confident enough. That's what making this reaction to other people. So it's not the other person's fault, this is your fault. You have to improve your self-esteem or the self-concept. Then the next one is, I'm comfortable admitting when I'm wrong. So if you're one of the persons, that's really claps for you, because not many of them are comfortable with that. So as a teacher, you have also to learn this point. Whenever we are wrong, we don't hesitate to admit that. It's always increases the trust, enhances the trust in the relationship. It's not a bad thing. It's not the low esteem thing, because everybody cannot know everything in the world. Your students are better in some of the aspects. Probably they might have searched in the Google or some sources, more information than you. Probably you made some mistake. So if they point out in the classroom, so you have to feel comfortable admitting that, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Maybe next time, if you don't know also, you can say that I clarify next time. I will do that. Next time I'll clarify and explain you. And then next one is, people would like me more if I were better looking and more successful. This is also, we always feel inferior, right? This is also one of the signs for the low esteem. They would like me if I were better looking. You think you are not looking good. You think you are not successful. It's not others' point of view, it's your point of view. So just change this mind. You think that I'm looking, we can't change our physical, we can't change our face, we can't change anything. It's all from our parents or from your genes. So don't give more importance to how I'm looking, because this is the problem in most of the women. They always think I'm not better looking, I'm not so more successful. So you have to change your self-concept. If you feel more confident and if you believe in your capacity, your capability, definitely you look more beautiful. People start admiring you. It's not about your physique. They just definitely will get some pride. Then I want to switch to the power of language. So I'm not going to talk about the vocabulary here. So if you want to become an effective communicator, you have to increase your vocabulary to some extent, but this everybody knows. So I'm not going into that one, because you are teachers, definitely you have a good vocabulary. So here there are two languages. One is called U language, another one is called I language. U is when you are talking, you are bad, you are mad. If you're saying like that, that's called you language. But I language is always just take the responsibility of you. If you talk in that way, it definitely, you don't enhance any defensive reaction to the participant or to the student or to anybody you are talking. So the U language places blame on the another person. So, for example, you can say that sometimes you get really angry, but you can say in other way, in I language, I think sometimes I think, you put the word I think, sometimes you are getting angry. So this will definitely reduces the strength of the negative point you are telling to them. So it's better always you think about and use the I language. And U language, it is perceived as a criticism. If you say you do this, you did this is your fault, or something like that. If you use even in your family life, it is considered as criticism of the personal attack, even though if you are not intended for that, so they always take it as criticism. And this will definitely, if you make so many you statements, it triggers a defensive reaction. But instead, I language, this is less defense, and it is more honest and clear, because people start, it's really a honest feeling of you are expressing the honest feeling of you. And the statement is very clear, it's not like blaming, and there's a less chance for misunderstanding. If teachers use this I statement in the classroom, definitely that increases the credibility, that is the trusting on you. It is more important for the teacher-student relationship. The students have to trust you. So because you form the basis of everything when they are coming to the school or college, they have to believe in you, they have to trust you, then only they can learn from you and more. So try to use this I language. Then we see some examples how we use this effective I statement. The first one is the describe behavior. So one example is, for instance, if two people are doing one project, so you have to present the project to your instructor that day. So there is a presentation. So if only two people are working on the project, so so it is about the time to present, but the other one is to show up for the meeting. So next day you are looking at that girl or boy. So you have to describe the behavior. So you start with them that I expected a call from you because you didn't show up for the meeting. So you are not blaming him or her that you didn't come to the meeting. Instead of that, you are telling that I expected a call from you that you didn't show up for the meeting. And then you describe your interpretations of the other person's behavior. So what are your interpretations of other person's behavior? So you have to tell them, for in this case, you can tell them, I thought something happened to you, or like, I thought you are ill, or something happened to you. So you are just telling your interpretations. It may or may not be true, but you are just telling what you interpreted, why he or she didn't come. Then identify and describe your feelings. So you can, I got frustrated, or I was very upset yesterday since you didn't come up. So you just describe your feelings. Then at the end, you describe the consequences that the other person's behavior has for you. So you can tell them that if this is happening next time, if you are going to repeat this next time, probably we are not together. I'm just going to see the another partner. So in this way, if you make a statement, so this is one of the ways how you resolve the conflict. So this is the very effective. You can use it even in your personal life. This will be definitely effective. So this kind of statements, this approach minimizes conflict in the workplace as well as in the personal space. I'm going to open the poll too. I'm going to open it for 1 minute. So you can answer these questions. So it's open now. Just take your time to, this is open for 1 minute. I'm going to end the poll. Thanks for actively participating in the poll. I'm just going to share the result. For the first question, are spoken words important than your voice, eye contact, and posture and gesture? 62% of you answered yes, and 38% you are right. actually your nonverbal communications is more important for effective communication than your spoken words. This may be surprising for you, but this is true. The other one is silence, a form of communication. Definitely, silence is a form of communication. 73% of you answered yes. Which is because I just put this to understand how you can able to correlate with you the nonverbal communication. So most of them didn't answer the first question right. So just look at this picture. This is the impact of nonverbal communication as a total in the whole world of communication. So effective communication relies on only 7% of words. I hope you don't expect this. And 55% are in your body movements. So it depends on your body, how you are moving your body, your face and arms, your gestures, your posture, everything. And 38% depends on your voice, how loud you are, and the tone modulation, and you pause at the appropriate times, these things. So pay attention to your own and the students' nonverbal cues because it speaks a lot. When compared to the words, these kind of nonverbal communications convey more message about other person and also about you to others. Just look at this picture. So here, one girl is saying hi to the other one. That's only the verbal communication. But look at here. She's taking the hair and just talking to her own. Just there are so many things that are going on in their mind. One is looking, I don't care. The other one is looking jealous at her. So both of them can understand what they are thinking. And but the other picture, it shows the unspoken communication between guys. They just say hi, but they don't. This is just the. It's not actually true. This is for fun. I just put this one. But usually girls are more expressive. That's true. So either it's a girl or boy, they just vocally or verbally they speak only little words, but when they are speaking or when they are in silence, a lot of non-verbal communication are going on inside their mind. It's how they make impression and how they predict your nature and how they continue your relationship with them. This all depending on the non-verbal communication. So I just want you to understand hidden messages are more than the spoken words here. So you have to take eye on that. So look at this picture. Who you like at most? So there are 5 persons here or 6 at the center of attraction. So she's a teacher. And what kind of first impression you make when you look at her? She dressed up well, she looks neat, and she is friendly, smiling at you. And how about this one? So he's in the professional attire, but she's yawning, right? So just look at the response of the other person who is in the opposite, and look at him. He looks like a center of attraction because he looks like open-minded. He's very friendly. He looks very good. He dresses up neat. The hair is really neat. Everything is good. So look at this one. So what do you think about this person? Look at the hair and the persons behind them. So what kind of first impression you make on them? And look at it. She's also a teacher. She looks very mean, right? She doesn't look kindly. So she might be a very strict and mean teacher. All your first impression here in the picture, they are not talking to you. I just projected the picture. So the first impressions are based on nonverbal communication, definitely. So it's only one first impression. You don't have a second chance to make the first impression. The truth is we hold on, we cling on to the first expression so tight, everybody. So they just started communicating. We or others start communicating with others or making a relationship based on the nonverbal communication. So like I said, more than 50% or more than 60 or 70% of your effective communication is based on your nonverbal things, how you look, how you smile, your dressing, and so many things. We will see all those things here. So this is a vast topic. I'm going to talk only in the perspective of a teacher. and student relationship. So these are the kinds of nonverbal communication. The first one is the body orientation. So how you orient your body. So if you are a teacher, just look at this teacher, how she is orienting her body towards their children. They are parallel to each other, right? So if you are interested on the interaction with others, you keep your body just parallel to other. If you are turning like 45-degree, that's turning away from the person to whom you are interacting, then your interest is less. So this is the kind of nonverbal communication that you have to understand. And also when you are communicating with other persons, they will realize about you. They think you are not interested. And in the definitely as a teacher, you have to orient the body parallel to your kids when you are teaching. And then posture. So posture, how straight you are sitting or standing or walking. So there are two postures. One is the open form, another one is closed form. The open form is the welcoming one. The open form is you are ready to welcome everybody. You are ready. That says that you are ready to interact with persons. So if you put your legs crossed and hands just crossed, so this means you are not a welcoming person. So the students, they don't really come and talk to you freely if you put your crossed legs, if you appear as crossed legs or cross your hands. So if you keep it free and your chest is open and you look straight, I mean, you are not looking rigid, but you are looking straight. You keep your spinal cord really straight and good. That posture is the welcoming one. That shows your confidence level. Definitely the students like this posture from the students. You see, if you are down, if you are just putting your shoulders down, if you're walking slowly, then definitely you don't express the positive energy to students. So what you are doing in the classroom, all the students, even though if they're kindergarten, first grade or college or PhD students, they're going to mimic you. This is also one of the psychological thing. I don't want to go into detail, but in the classroom setting, definitely the students mimic the teachers, the way of expression. And then your gestures. Gestures are your movements of the whole body, but usually we move our head and hands. So in the classroom, when you are taking the class, you have to be really active. You have to move your hands, so you have to show your enthusiasm, and also this movement of your hands, everything, it is going to act as a visual guide. If you are taking a class in a big auditorium, it's not possible for all kids to look at your eyes because eye contact is more important. But they cannot able to look at your eyes. But when you are making the gestures, when you are moving your hands and legs, everything properly, in a good way, it means that enthusiastic, and this definitely stimulate the students in participation and active listening. And the facial expression, we know the proverb, face is the index of mind. So reading your face explains what your attitudes, what you are thinking. So even though if you are talking something, if you are not honest, if you are thinking something different, but you are talking completely opposite, the person, your students or somebody who was listening to you definitely can identify without any doubt. This one doesn't need actually any skill for reading even the babies or even the toddlers or the small kids. They study the facial expression of their mother. They take the advantage of that. So we have this kind of innate behavior. We can easily identify the facial expression of other persons. So you have to beware of that thing. The expression should match with your internal thing. For example, if you say sorry to some person, if you turn around and you just not making eye contact, you just say, I'm sorry. So you doesn't mean that, right? So you have to mean with your expressions on your face. And then the para language. Para language is how you are telling the words, how you are pronouncing, like a volume, pitch, or frequency, how loud you are. So mostly that's called the para language. So you have to pay attention also. If you are talking very slow and then it's not louder, and students cannot hear, actively participate in your lessons. So always people who are talking loud are considered to be a confident communicator or confident people. That's the perception in the whole society. So you always pay attention to your own and the students' nonverbal cues. And then physical attractiveness. Even though you like it or not, this play a major role. People who look very attractive. For those, the others will listen, or the students, they really like the people who look attractive. It doesn't mean that you have to have a great shape and you look gorgeous, you look very attractive, nothing. So any man or woman can wear one makeup, that's called a smile. If you have a smiling face, that's the major reason for the attractiveness. So even though the other factors make a role, so physical attractiveness is also play a role, and clothing. So it's not necessary that you have to wear some fancy. You shouldn't wear the fancy in the classroom, but you have to give importance to clothing, because that makes the first impression. When we look at someone, we can say that, oh, he's a rich man, he's a professional, he's an educator, he's a professor, he's a businessman. So we just judge people according to your clothing. So it should be decent enough for your profession. And touch, it's a very sensitive topic. Touch, actually, for kids, for children, touch definitely have some stimulation on the brain. It is good for their growth, good for their learning, for the smaller kids. But for the adults, I don't think, especially if there are gender differences in teacher and student. For the male teacher is taking classes for female students and vice versa, it's better to avoid any kind of touch. Even though in some culture it is okay to pat on your back and handshaking. So it is depending on your it is depending on the culture. But it is a very sensitive topic. People feel very uncomfortable with that, so it's better to avoid. And then proxemics. Proxemic means a study about spacing. It's a space between you and your student. So you should be aware of this space. I don't know, country like ours in India, we don't give much importance to spacing. But anyway, if the other party is uncomfortable, you know that we have to really move away and give some space. So I have a next slide. If you are teaching to international students, or if you are teaching in abroad, you have to really give more importance to proxemics. The space between you and your student. That's the next slide. We will talk about in the next slide. And then the physical environment, nothing but your classroom. Your classroom setting. Actually, students will learn really good in the attractive classroom. You have so many stimulations just to, especially for the small kids, just to enhance their senses. So if you keep so many things as posters and you keep your classroom neat and tidy and really looking good, then the learning is definitely enhanced. There are a lot of researchers on this topic, how you can improve the look of the classroom. It helps in learning and also in teaching. It's not that the students don't get bored with this one. And the time. Time that relates to punctuality. This is also one of the nonverbal communication that shows your character, that increases your credibility. That shows your sincerity also. So it's better to be punctual. Of course, sometimes we cannot make it, but as a teacher, always better to be punctual on your classes. The timings is more important to make an impression on you from your students. This is also different culture to culture. I finished my PhD in Germany. In Germany, the thing works like this. If you have an appointment with your professor, if you are just 1 minute late, they will cancel the meeting because they are so perfect in the timing. If you're late for the seminar, they close the door, you are not allowed to enter the seminar. If you are working up, if you want to go for abroad, you teach, you have to aware of these things where you are going. So time is also the important factor. So pay attention to all kinds of nonverbal cues. That's in the classroom. That's the success of your teaching skill and for your communication skill. So this is proxemic distances. Persons have some kind of bubble around them. So you just imagine that you are carrying a big bubble or big balloon. So you are not letting the people inside that. So people cannot come close to you, right? If you are carrying a big bubble, you are inside, you are at the center. This is what proxemic, the best example for proxemic distances. This is called up to 1.5 feet. This is called intimate space. So this is only in your private area in your house. just only for private things. This one, you never enter into that. As a teacher also, as a friend also, you can, as a colleague, you never go into that space. You have to keep some distance. Next one is called personal space. It is ranging from 1.5 to 7 feet. So this is good for the personal interactions, like interpersonal interactions, because here you have the very good eye contact. But this is normally when a couple is standing in the public place. So this is exactly the distance they are maintaining. So as a professional, in normal times, we are not also allowed to enter into that space. Then it is called the social space. It is ranging from 4 to 12 inches. So this is for business communications and the public space. This is for the teachers. This is for the teacher professionals. It's 12 inch and above. So usually in the United States or in Germany, in any of the parts which are the low context cultures, where the self expression is more important, they don't care about what others are thinking. They just express what they think. So there, if you're coming abroad, if you're coming to teach in any international university or college, you have to be really careful with this one, maintaining the space between you and the student. Otherwise, they feel very uncomfortable. They underestimate you. So this is the note for the international teachers. And this definitely differs. If you're going to the Asian country, probably this may look like our country. But if you're going, like I said, the low context cultures like United States, northern part of Germany, definitely you have to take this into mind. So the question of thought. So are you right with your first impression on your friend? Just think about that. When you first met your friend, what kind of impression you made? Is that true? And how did you become very close friends? So you just think about that. This will open many channels on you, how you interfere things, how you make the first impression on the people, and how you make the perception. So this is really one of the good questions for you just to improve your non-communication skills. And I want to talk just few words about the online communication. Since all classes are going on now due to this COVID-19 infection, so you have to be really careful whenever you are using online classes or any online media. The first, you have to choose the best communication channel. The thing is, if you are a student, if your professor wants only the email communication, there is it is not advisable to go for texting or the other kind of communication channels. So always choose the best one. This is the success of your communication. The channel is so important. And then be careful what you post because once you post, so you have to be mindful when you are posting something in the online because once you post, it is irreversible. So every time be careful and then keep your tone civil. This means if you're posting something, so you get a bad comment, immediately you get a bad comment, so you're aggravated. Without thinking any consequences, you just reply to them. So what were you are not filtering anything. Usually you don't use that word when you are talking in person. Those words you are just posting it, you are giving the feedback, negative feedback or something, some like controversial things are going. We're not thinking about the consequences. This is called disinhibition. You have to avoid. This is very common in online communication. So you have to always think about the consequences as a student or teacher before posting or before giving reply, or before giving a feedback. And the aggravation, there's the outbursting of anger. That is called the flaming in psychology. So this is very problematic one because so after some very hard conversations, you calm down, you just forget the problem. But flaming always a problem. Once you posted this, every time this become problematic from the other person, from the other end. And also you have to respect privacy boundaries when you are posting or when you are forwarding emails, when you are posting other people's messages. So every time you have to respect the privacy boundaries. If somebody trusts you and then send you something, or if you are communicating with your teacher, they are sending some email that's only for you. I think you shouldn't forward to other people, even if a close friend. So always you give respect to those boundaries. Then the next one is you better to avoid excessive use of a digital media. You know that, of course, I'm sure you know that use of excessive digital media or computer online actually it causes stress, anxiety. It increases the levels of anxiety. It's not good for the physical health and also the mental health. If you're sitting in a one place, so your blood circulation is not moving properly. Definitely, you are not. There's a lot of chance that you put on weight. So it's not good for your physical health and also for the mental health. You feel loneliness. You just cut with your family members. You don't communicate verbally. So you stop everything. You kind of become addicted to that. That ultimately leads to a high level of anxiety. So just remember to take breaks when you are working online, even related to academics. Then always be safe in the online communication because many of you as a student or teacher don't know the online hazards because you post something, you think only few people are viewing that or your close circle is viewing that. It is not true. Anybody at this level, anybody presently, anybody can see that. Anybody can forward it. Anybody can comment on that. So the viewers or your audiences are not your close friends or not your teachers or someone. So never ever disclose your private information online. If you want to send some private information, just make sure with other person by talking, not through online communication. Just talk to them, or if possible, do that in face-to-face interaction. It's always good to balance your academic and personal life in digital media. It is good for your profession and good for your family too. I open the next poll. So I launched it now. There are two questions about hearing and listening. You can answer these two questions. I'm going to stop in a few seconds. I ended the poll. I'm just sharing the results now. The first questions are hearing and listening are the same thing. 63% of you answered right. The answer is no. They are two different processes. Actually, hearing is one of the part of listening. And the next question is, do all listeners receive the same message from the speaker? So many of you answered correctly. The answer is no. Not all listeners receive the same message. It depends on their perception and so many things. So we are going to talk about this. I don't know, for some reason it got struck. Okay, now it's working. This is also the part of the communication. Listeners is an important part of the communication. So you have to understand the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a physiological process. You hear some sound, it just hit on your eardrum and vibrate, and then it's passed. All the signals are going to your brain as an electrochemical signal or a gradient or like impulses. So that's it. So you don't need to work for hearing. It's like an automatic physiological process. But from the next step, your brain has to work. So you have to pay attention to the information, what the speaker is speaking or what your teacher is taking, or even in the lifetime examples, even in your personal setup, you have to pay attention to the signal. And then you have to try to understand it. There is a lot of things that are going on in the brain. So you have to put those signals or symbols, and then you interpret things, you make a meaning of that. So your understanding process is so complicated, and then you are responding to the speaker by either verbally or non-verbally, which is important. So you can clarify if you understand something wrong. You can clarify by responding them. Then the last step is you have to remember, you have to retrieve those informations. Even when I'm talking, you can do all these things. You can hear, you can pay attention to that, and you try to understand what I'm saying, and you can respond to me by chatting, and then you remember or retrieve the things just in your own language. You can do every process, but it seems to be complicated. But if you practice well, you can do active listening. It is very important for both teacher and student. Teacher has to listen what students are trying to say, and student definitely has to listen to the teacher for their academic success. So what are the strategies for informational listening? There are a few things. Information, there are different kinds of listening, but I'm just only going to focus on informational listening. So you don't judge or argue. This means you never judge a speaker. You don't, for instance, you take now, you don't judge me. Just take the information from me, and definitely you don't argue with the speaker. This will interrupt your listening process. You can argue later, or you can do these things, but while listening, while you are hearing, and then while you are doing the listening process, you don't do that. And always separate the messages from the speaker. For example, if you don't like the speaker, if you don't like a person, you don't attach what they are saying to that person. Always separate the message. They may tell you something good. So every time you separate the message from the speaker, and then look for the key ideas in a speech or anywhere, whoever you're talking to, some important ideas. This may be helpful for you. And then ask questions just to clarify your thoughts, and also to show that you're actively involving in this process. And then paraphrase, that is when you make your own sentences by using your own idea. That's called paraphrasing. And then take notes. Taking notes is also an important skill that enhances the performance. So as a student, you should really take notes, even if you think the topic is not important. It is a skill. It is also a kind of skill. You are not taking, you are not writing everything word by word, but you just take like a key points or key ideas. Just if you are listing out, this is really helpful for the letter of your memory. So what are the types of ineffective listening? This I put this one because many of the students do in the classroom. The first one is pseudo listening. That is pseudo, that means you are acting, you are imitating as if you were attentive in the class. So those persons who are doing pseudo listening, they just nod their head. Even they make a good eye contact. Sometimes even they ask questions, but they never listen to what they are saying. They daydream or think about something. If you do constantly doing this, you behave every time. This constantly stick on you. So you always do that. So if you are the one who are doing pseudo listening in the classroom, just stop it. Then stage hogging. This could be explained like some persons always wants to be the center of attraction, so they never let the person to talk. They always talk about themselves, their interests, their ideas. They never give a chance to others to talk. They're also ineffective listeners. This is called a stage hogging. Then selective listening. So if you're listening to something, you just selectively listen a part. You don't listen everything, just selectively listen in which you are interested. This is called selective listening. This is also leads to ineffective listening. And then insulated listening. It's like the listener form an installation around them. This topic which are very sensitive to them, they don't touch it, they don't listen it. They just start daydreaming, or they just do something, they scribble, they don't want to hear that. Those are the insulated listening. And then defensive listening. The people who are defensive listeners, they think the speaker is attacking them, even though they don't do it. They always think they are going to, so they want to protect themselves. They justify their points. They imagine as if they were attacked from all directions, so they don't let the speaker to speak. Instead, they just clarify their own thoughts, their misunderstanding. They behave really defensively. Then ambushing listening. This is also a kind of a defensive listening. But here, these kind of people just listen to the talk, only to ask questions. They always try to find out the mistakes, wherever the mistakes. They don't listen to any kind of teaching or anything for any kind of. They always try to find out the mistakes of the speaker, and then they point out, then ask so many questions to make the speaker to feel shame. They just attack, really attack. This is a very bad kind of listening. It's like a boomerang. So this will come to you one day. So you have to be really careful with these kind of, if you are the one who follow these kind of listening. Then the insensitive listening, it is a kind of listening like you are lethargic, you're not at all sensitive to any topic. You just this is also this is not actually a pseudo listening, but you feel very insensitive. Sometimes you feel very inferior. These kind of low self-esteem people are coming under this category. They just try to hide from the speaker. They're not confident enough even for listening. So definitely all these kind of ineffective listening makes you a poor communicator. So many students do pseudo listening, so they have to avoid that. So what are the barriers of communication? So first one is the language use, the way how you use the language, and also if you use just you want to show your proficiency in English or in any language, so you use the words which are really complicated, then you think the receiver might think you are really well educated, you are high-fi. So don't do that, because you have to use the common language to audience where everybody can get the message. So you have to be really careful when you are selecting the languages and the way how you use that. Then disorganized messages. If you, as a teacher, you have to organize all the messages properly. Otherwise, it won't reach the persons, or it won't reach the students. And then message overload, too much message in the classroom. I'm not sure whether this my presentation falls under this category, because I know the human brain is capable of just listening any kind of information only for 25 to 30 minutes. Even you can feel by yourself, you just come and sit for any class or even for this presentation. You just you just look at the clock. Once it starts 25 to 30 minutes, you start looking around you, what is happening. You want to eat something, you just distracted so many times. It's not your fault. We have to practice that also. It's only our brain is capable of just concentrating, putting the real concentration only for 30 minutes. So it's better to avoid message overload. I thought of this when I'm preparing this presentation, but anyway, the given time is 1 hour. So I just made it. And then rapid thought. Rapid thought is something about when you are listening, when you are hearing or listening something. So many thoughts are going in your head. If you're a mother, so what your kids are doing, what you have to cook, or if you have a conflict with someone, those thoughts, what you want to do next. So all those rapid thoughts, you have to avoid that. This is definitely the barrier of communication. So you won't listen for the people who are talking to you. You may miss some important information. And then, as already we talked, you have to stop, or you have to reduce all kind of noises. Then stereotyping, if you are rigid in something, if you think about some person, or it's usually a particular group of people, If you think every time you think a female has weak personality and male as a dominating character, this is a stereotyping. You have to break that stereotype. You have to avoid that kind of talking. Then your conversation or your one-to-one conversation, your communication always will be in that way. So you can be be a successful communicator. And then the faulty assumptions. So for instance, if you make some faulty assumption based on your first impression, that is also make a big barrier for the communication. So you have to avoid those faulty assumptions. How you can clarify the things for the people, or you can clarify based on your all knowledges you are gaining from your environment. And also cultural differences make a big difference. Because the same thing differs, have two different meanings in different culture. For instance, in the United States here, if the men's are holding their hands, if men they hold their hands and go in the public area, public places, they are considered as couples. So even my son, he's 7 years old. He doesn't like holding his classmates' hands. You see how the perception, 7 years old boy, they don't like just holding their hands. Even the brother, both are brothers, so they always considered as a couples in the United States. But if you go to the Arab countries, it is respected. If you give a respect to each other, they always hold the hand of the same gender, especially man. So cultural differences, there is a lot of cultural differences that break down the communication. So you have to aware of those things. Demographic differences, it's kind of population, it's study about population is called a demographic. So in the population, there are different sexes. For definitely, if you are male and female, there is a lot of barriers in communication, and the younger ones and the older ones and different races, that also affect the communication. And also attitudinal difference. Your attitude, it's more important. If you are a dominating character, or if you're very aggressive, that definitely prevents the people come and contact you and then make a communication with you. It's a big barrier, so you have to watch out your attitude also. So practicing communication skills breaks all these barriers. So this is the last poll. I hope you are exhausted by this time, so I just open this poll. So if you're listening well, this presentation, probably you can able to answer correctly. So this is a kind of feedback for me. I give some 20 seconds. I'm going to stop the poll. I think still some of you are answering, but anyway. So I'm sharing the results now. So 82% of people answered right. Does teacher-student communication fall under transactional model? So you are right. So you really listen to the lecture, to this presentation actively. That's good. But it's not bad if you answer the wrong one. So usually the teacher-student communication is transactional. It's a two-way communication. Just always remember the meaning of the word transaction. It's the exchange. And is listening it's not a nature actually, it's a spelling error. It is a natural process like breathing. So you are not conscious about breathing, right? It's happening always. But how about listening? Hearing is like breathing. You don't need to work on that consciously. So hearing is a natural process, but listening is not a natural process. The right answer is no. So thanks for doing this poll. I'm just trying to go to the next slide. I don't know, it got struck. Okay, yeah. Anyway, this is the end of the talk. I would like to summarize everything. So, understanding communication basics and applying those skills. Not only understanding the basics, you have to apply those skills in everyday life for the success in your academic setting. Definitely, when you improve your communication skill, that will improve your efficiency in teaching and also your efficiency in interaction with other settings. And the use of proper language and non-verbal cues are significant for the success of the communicator. You have to be very careful when watching the non-verbal cues and make a prediction about people. And then effective listening is one of the tools for a good teacher-student relationship. And you always follow mindfulness while you are in online communications. Be safe during this COVID time. And thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions related to this topic, related to these slides, feel free to ask.
Ma'am, there are, thank you, ma'am. There are 17 questions.
Okay. Can I see the questions or in the question box?
Can you see the questions, ma'am?
Yeah.
Can negative feedback improve selfness?
Oh, yeah, definitely the negative feedback, how you are taking that is more important. If you are taking it as attack in a defensive way, definitely it will not going to improve your self-esteem or self-concept. So this is the way how you are thinking about it. So you can definitely, I think, when compared to the positive, the negative comments are. I always personally I welcome the negative comments because if it is true, that shows my weakness, right? So then I will try to find the ways to improve me. So definitely that's good.
What is
Yeah,
the
I can. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
What is the meaning of proxemics?
Proximus is a study about the space. If you are anything about the proximity, like I talked about proximity, like the space between a teacher and a student. So how much space you should leave between two persons. So anything, any study about those kind of spaces is called proximity.
How can we inculcate interpersonal skills among the adolescent students?
Your voice is breaking for me.
How
I
can
can't hear.
we inculcate interpersonal skills among the adolescent children?
Oh, if you are improving the intrapersonal skills, actually, it's very hard in adolescent students. First, you have to admit that it's not easy because they are like sea of hormones. There are so many hormones going on. It's so natural process. So it's very hard to bring some kind of awareness in them, but it is possible. So how you can do that? You always give some external stimuli. As a teacher, you can give in the classroom the external stimulus. You somehow you are by your talk or just keeping the environment. It's like the classroom environment, or if you are dealing with your children in adolescent period, the environment is. I hope you know that what is external and internal stimulus. So, as a teacher, as a parent, we can provide the very good positive external stimulus for the kid, for the adolescent, and male or female. And if you're providing the proper external stimulus, they have some intrinsic effect inside. This is called internal stimulus. You have to trigger it. Probably you can ask them to do meditation, but it won't be proper. Don't expect perfectness in them because that's their age. They are experiencing so many things physically and also emotionally. As adult, we all cross that period, right? So your part is provide the external stimulus. I hope you understand what is an external stimulus is. So your behavior. If you are a parent at home, your behavior is also one of the external stimulus for them. And for instance, if you are telling too many lies, this is a very bad external stimulus for the kids. They look at that, they learn from you, they never can improve their intrapersonal communication. So if you are in a phone and you are talking to some person, it's so common, right? We tell so many lies in the real life. Or if they ask something, we just talk just opposite. Our self is different, but what we express outside. So the adolescent or any kids watch that. So always you match with your actions with your thought. That's very important. These kind of external stimulus you can provide inside the classroom and also at home. Just be honest and they will understand, I hope.
Okay, ma'am. What are the tools available to develop communication skills?
What are the tools
They
means?
are
What are
asking about tools means, is there any like books they are asking? Is there any type
Oh,
of
there are a
books?
lot.
Can you?
If you are, I mean, there are a lot of books. The main thing is become social. I think you can learn from the real world. So become social. This means don't be very calm and shy, and then you just go and talk with everybody. Even people always feel very nervous when they are talking to the celebrity. But don't do that. Just go ahead, and you talk to. If you're a student, talk to your principal, talk to your teacher, to whom you are thinking the celebrity. Just go and talk. Just socialize. If you are socialize with all kind of people in different levels, this is the practical thing that in which this is one of the important tools you can develop your communication skill, because this is the real time experience. So instead of you can read the books, there are so many books available. Even there are so many online things you can watch the YouTube video. But what I'm telling is you have to contact with the real people. Even I don't think the emails, this is also the kind of communication, but every time the face to face communication or the real time communication has major impact. You can watch so many hundreds of videos, you can watch thousands of, you can read thousands of books. Just take one point, you apply in your life, talk to people, different kind of people, especially who you consider celebrity. It could be your teacher or your neighbor or your principal or any actor or anybody who you think they are in the high position. That will increase your self confidence. So
Is
just do the
gossip
real time thing.
a form of communication?
So the voice is cracking.
Okay. Body language and verbal communication is interrelated, like that they are asking whether the body language and verbal communication is interrelated.
Yeah, the interrelated. If you're honest, they are interrelated. If you are telling something lie, but I just already told face is the index of mind. They are related only. If it matches, definitely you gain integrity from the people. People feel you are honest, and your communication will be effective. For instance, you are telling, "Oh, I like this," so your expressions are it exactly should match your all your nonverbal facial expressions, but your saying and your actions doesn't match with each other, then they are not interrelated. But usually the answer is yes at some point, and I can say both answer yes or no. Depends on you. Definitely depends on your communication style.
That's all, ma'am. Thank you. Now we have come to the end of the session. Give thanks to the Lord for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. Gratitude is the most excused form of courtesy. Today, I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude in the form of words on behalf of Center for Capacity Building Programs for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Bharatiya University Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, Stella Matutina College of Education, Chennai. I deem it a great honor to propose a vote of thanks to all those who have contributed to this 5-day international webinar on yoga and wellness for teaching professionals. At the outset, I would like to express my profound gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Kartika Singara Velu, psychology coach, Tamil School, Michigan, USA, for sparing her valuable time and gracing the session with her knowledge and presence. My sincere thanks to Madam for accepting our request and also for making this excellent presentation to enrich our minds with the desire of instilling curiosity through her information-packed lecture and discussions. The session was very interesting, ma'am, meaningful and also very useful and very lively, and it boosted many of us who took part in this webinar. We thank you, ma'am, for providing us with such a wonderful opportunity to listen to your resourceful lecture. I hope that especially all these still, even madam has taken more than 2 hours,
Oh,
170
really? I'm sorry.
participants are still remaining. Hats off to all those 150 participants. Really, thank you very much. I hope that participants will carry the knowledge shared in the session and apply in their effective classroom teaching. I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Professor N. Panjanathan, and Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bharatiya University, Professor P. Kaliram, the patrons of this webinar, for their tremendous initiative, constant motivation, and encouragement in organizing this 5-day international webinar. Thank you, sirs. I keep on record on our indebtedness to the co-patrons of this webinar, Professor P. Balakrishnan, Registrar in charge of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Professor M. Murugan, Registrar in charge, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, and Reverend Sister Pauline Neri, Secretary of Stella Matutina College of Education, for their incredible support in organizing this webinar. Thank you, sirs, and thank you, sister. I take this opportunity to thank the conveners of this webinar, Professor M. Govindan, Controller of Examinations, Dean of Faculty and Head of the Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, Professor Anbalagan, Principal in Charge, Bharatiyar University, Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, Dr. Joseph Catherine, Principal of Stella Matutina College of Education, for devoting their time, stupendous guidance, and moral support. Thank you. I must mention my deep sense of appreciation for the organizing secretaries of this webinar. I'm happy to express my thanks to Dr. T. Sivashakti Rajamal, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Dr. Premalata, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, and Dr. C. Savitri, Physical Director, Bharatiyar University, Arts and Science College, Coimbatore. I take this opportunity to extend my gratitude to all our organizing joint secretaries and organizing committee members of this webinar for their constant support and suggestions. I thank all the participants, richly reserve our gratitude for your active participation throughout this webinar. Thank you so much. I hope you all find this session useful. Once again, thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am. Katia, ma'am. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
for your feedback
Thank
too.
you. Thank you,
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Karthika, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry that I didn't realize that it took 2 hours. I'm very sorry
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
that.
It's okay.
Thank you, Dr.
It's okay.
Catherine, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Josephine,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
all the participants. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, Katia, ma'am, thank
Yeah,
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
welcome. Sure. So we end up the talk.
Yes, ma'am. World history, ma'am. 2.5 hours session. Very nice, ma'am.
I don't think so. You all started sleeping.
Yes, ma'am.
from
Early morning நால நீங்க tired ஆகவே இல்லை மேம். ஸ்டார்டிங் டு எண்ட் வரைக்கும் உங்களோட எனர்ஜி அப்படியே இருந்து.
அப்படியா தூக்கம் வரலையா உங்களுக்கு?
இல்ல இல்ல வரல மேம்.
True feedback is always
இல்ல மேம்.
welcome.
பாசிட்டிவ் ஃபீட்பேக் ஒன்லி மேம். பிபிடி கேட்குறாங்க மேம் எல்லாருக்கும்.
ஓகே. உங்களுக்கு அனுப்பிடட்டா?
நான் அனுப்பிடுங்க மேம். ஜோஸ்பின் மேடத்துக்கு அனுப்பிடுங்க.
No, ma'am. Yesterday, can I send the PPT?
Okay, ma'am.
But I changed some of these slides if it is okay. Yeah, I changed a few things here.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Anyway, I'll send the new one.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for
Thank you so much.
all of your
Thank you, ma'am.
patience.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.